Hi everyone, my name is Tanner Hugaboom, and today we're going to be talking about the economic structures and comparing them between two countries. So to continue on, basically the two countries that we're going to be comparing here is the United States against Canada. Just a couple quick facts. The official name of the United States is obviously the United States of America. The population is roughly 324,057,300. The capital is Washington, D.C. The main spoken languages would include English and Spanish, and their current money is the US dollar. Comparing that to Canada, the population is 37,412,852. The capital is Ottawa. Languages would include English and French, and their money would be the Canadian dollar. So to start, we're going to compare the factors of production. Basically, there's three separate categories for the factors of production. Those would include land, labor, and capital statistics. So going through the United States, currently some production that they use their land for would include wheat, corn, grains, fruits, vegetables, cotton, beef, pork, poultry, dairy products, fish, and forest products. They have a labor force of approximately 160.4 million people. Their main occupations would include farming, forestry, fishing, manufacturing, transportation, managerial, and sales. The United States current employment rate is about 59.2%. Some statistics about the United States, they bring in about $2.45 trillion in revenue. Their current inflation rate is 2.1%, and in addition to the revenue, they also bring in an additional $1.56 trillion in exports. Comparing this to Canada, Canada mainly uses their land for production in regards to wheat, barley, oilseed, tobacco, fruits, vegetables, dairy products, forest products, and fish. Their labor force consists of 19.52 million people. Most of their occupations would include agriculture, manufacturing, and construction. The current employment rate within Canada is 61.2%, and going through their capital statistics, they bring in roughly $690.3 billion in revenue. They have a current inflation rate of 1.5%, and in addition, they bring in $462.9 billion in exports. Moving on to the economy, the United States, their tax percentage is currently 17.2% of their total gross domestic product. This percentage, however, does exclude contributions for their Social Security and other programs, other government benefit programs. If we were to include those in, the tax percentage would be roughly 22% of the total GDP. Their financial strength / public debt. In 2019, the United States had a total debt of $22 trillion. That is definitely a slight increase from 2017, where they were at $20 trillion. For Canada, their tax percentage is definitely significantly higher than the United States. Currently, they're at 38% of their gross domestic product, and their financial / public debt. In 2018, they had roughly $671.25 billion in debt, comparing that to 2017, where they were at $651.54 billion. Moving on to labor, careers, wages, and poverty. The United States, again, has a current labor rate of approximately 160.4 million people. Most of those career choices can be broken down into three categories. Managerial, professional, and technical kind of lead the pack at 37.3%, followed by sales and office occupations at 24.2%, and manufacturing and transportation at 20.3%. The average wage is $54,951 per year, and their current poverty level is 15.1% of the total population. In Canada, again, their labor rate is approximately 19.52 million people. Those career choices would include services. Services can include transportation, tourism, things along those lines. At 76%, manufacturing at 13%, construction at 6%. Average wage would be $39,792 per year, and they have a poverty level of 9.4% of the total population. Moving on to GDP, exports and imports and growth levels. The United States currently has a gross domestic product of $19.36 trillion. Their imports and exports would include agricultural products, industrial supplies, motor vehicle parts, computers, and consumer goods, amongst other things. Their growth rate as of 2017 was 2.2%. Comparing this to Canada, their GDP is $1.764 trillion. Imports would include things such as machinery, equipment, motor vehicles and parts, crude oil, chemicals, electricity, and durable consumer goods. Exports would include motor vehicle parts, industrial machinery, aircraft, telecommunications equipment, chemicals, plastics, fertilizers, wood pulp, timber, crude petroleum, natural gas, electricity, and aluminum. Their growth rate as of 2017 was 3%. So as you can see here, Canada definitely had a higher growth rate than the United States. Many things can be taken into consideration as far as the growth rates increasing from the two countries. A big impact of that would be the overall total population, and how the United States has many more individuals that can contribute towards that growth rate and that GDP as well, which is why the GDP of the United States is significantly higher than Canada. This kind of gives you an idea as to what we're looking at. As you can see, the United States dating back to 1900, pretty much to current, we can see that the trillions of dollars and just how much more the United States is growing and bringing in compared to Canada altogether. Lastly here, the financials, the United States, their banking system, they have improved balance sheets and capital structure. They have a strong economic growth. They've also recently done tax cuts and deregulation, which is likely to benefit bank savings. Their fiscal policy would include maintaining full employment, a high rate of economic growth, and keeping prices and wages at stable levels. Their monetary policy would include promoting maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates. Comparing this to Canada, their banking system is known for steady dividends, a strong global reputation for reliability, and stocks are a good source of income. Their fiscal policy mainly revolves around reducing government debt and long-term economic growth. And lastly, their monetary policy revolves around inflation control targets and flexible exchange rates. In conclusion, I do believe that the United States has a more stable economic structure than Canada. Comparing the two, between careers and wages and growth opportunities, I feel that there are many more opportunities within the United States for people to achieve higher success. And then basically with higher success comes further spending, which ultimately boosts the economy. And again, we have seen time after time that the United States does experience consistent growth in many ways, more than just one. So thank you for your time. I do have my references listed here at the end. Feel free to visit any of these websites and gain further information about what I had found myself. Thank you.